Have you ever thought about how easy it might be to just disappear? For 21-year-old nursing student Maura Murray, it wasn't a thought experiment. One night, she was there, and the next, she was gone. And her story, well, it's become one of the most haunting mysteries of our time. Okay, so let's go there. February 9th, 2004. We're on a remote road in New Hampshire, Route 112. It's pitch black. It's freezing cold. You see a car that's crashed into a snowbank. The engine's still ticking. It's warm. But when you look inside, there's no one there. The driver is just gone. And get this, police show up just minutes after someone called it in. A local guy driving his bus saw the driver and even talked to her. But by the time the first officer is on the scene, she's vanished. Poof, gone. And that tiny, tiny window of time, that's where the whole mystery lives. So the big question, the one that's been hanging in the air for more than 20 years, is where did Maura Murray go? To even start to piece this puzzle together, we have to look at what was going on in her life. Not just where she was driving, but, what was going on in her head. All right, let's peel back the layers here. We're talking about a secret drive north, a woman who seems to be in some kind of crisis. What would make someone pack up their life, lie to everyone, and just drive? The details leading up to that night are, well, they're pretty unsettling. If you just looked at her resume, Maura Murray seemed to have it all together. She was a star athlete in high school. She even went to West Point for a bit, which is no joke. Then she was acing a really tough nursing program at UMass Amherst. On the surface, everything looked perfect, but underneath, things were starting to unravel. Okay, so this is where it gets really weird. Let's look at the 72 hours before she disappeared. Saturday night, she has a minor crash in her dad's car after a party. Seems pretty stressed about it. Then, on Monday, she starts making moves. She's on MapQuest looking up directions to places like the Berkshires and Vermont. She emails her professors, making up a story about a death in the family. And then, she hits an ATM and pulls out $280, basically cleaning out her account. It feels like a plan, right? But a plan for what? And right after taking out all that cash, she walks into a liquor store. What does she spend? Exactly $40. It wasn't just a random purchase. She knew what she wanted. And here's what she bought: Bailey's, Kahlua, vodka, and a box of wine. When police found her car, this stuff was all inside. Now that's not just a bottle to unwind with after a long day. That feels like you're stocking up for something. A getaway, maybe? So you have to ask yourself, what was really going on here? Was this just a young woman needing to blow off some steam for a few days? Or was she genuinely running from something? Because the pressure was definitely on. She was dealing with a recent charge for using a stolen credit card. There was the stress from wrecking her dad's car, and maybe some relationship drama too. It was a lot. Okay, so let's zoom back in. We've seen the lead up, but now let's get back to that crash site. Because this is where the story goes from strange to, well, to impossible. We're talking about a trail that went cold in a 7-minute window. So a local bus driver, a guy named Butch Atwood, he's the last person we know of who saw her alive. He stops, he offers to help, call the cops for her, but she says no. Don't call the police, she tells him. I've already called AAA. Now here's the kicker. There was no cell service out there. And AAA, they never got a call. Think about that. 10 minutes. From the time the bus driver leaves to the time the first cop arrives on scene, she's gone. The officer finds the car, it's locked, her stuff is still inside, but there's no Maura. And maybe the strangest part? No footprints in the snow around the car. None. So the next day, they bring in a tracking dog. The dog gets her scent from one of her gloves found in the car, follows it about 100 yards down the road, and then it just stops. Dead. The scent disappears right in the middle of the road. And that right there, that's probably the most crucial piece of evidence in the whole case. That trail stopping cold, it tells us she almost certainly didn't just wander off into the woods. It's like she stepped into another car and was just driven away. So here we are, 20 years later. No body, no crime scene, nothing. And in that vacuum, theories have just exploded, especially online. You've got entire communities dedicated to solving this. But no matter how you slice it, it all really boils down to 3 main scenarios. All right, let's walk through them. First, the idea that she just left, a voluntary disappearance. I mean, she packed her stuff, she took out the money, she lied to her professors. It fits. But the big question is,
How do you stay completely silent, completely off the grid for 2 decades? Then there's the theory that she got lost. Maybe she was disoriented from the crash, wandered into the woods, and the harsh winter got her. But extensive searches with dogs and people found absolutely nothing, not a single trace. And that brings us to the darkest theory: foul play. That someone picked her up. This lines up with the scent dog, but you have to wonder, who else would have been on that exact stretch of road, in that tiny, perfect window of opportunity?
And the foul play theory has had some really bizarre and creepy leads over the years. For instance, a few months after she went missing, a local man's brother came forward and gave Maura's dad a rusty knife. He claimed that was the weapon used to kill her. Police tested it, but for some reason, the results were never released to the public. And just when you think the case couldn't get any stranger, after literally years of nothing, boom, a major development just this year. In 2024, analysis finally revealed a fingerprint found in her car matched someone, a former acquaintance from her West Point days named Stefan Baldwin. Now, he says he wasn't anywhere near New Hampshire that night, but still, it's the most solid lead they've had in a very, very long time. So where does that leave us? The case is still an unsolvable puzzle, at least for now. But its legacy? Wow. It's a powerful reminder that even today, with all our technology, a person can just be erased. They can vanish. You know, people often call Maura's disappearance the very first great mystery of the social media age. And it's kind of wild to think about. She vanished just 5 days after Facebook launched. For a whole generation of internet detectives, her case became this perfect, obsessive puzzle. It feels like all the clues are there, right on the surface, tantalizingly close, but they never quite add up. And this is tough to look at. It's an age progression photo the FBI put out in 2024. It shows what Maura might look like now, in her 40s. It's just a heartbreaking reminder of how much time has gone by. And it's a plea, really, a hope that maybe, just maybe, someone out there will see this face and know something. So what's the official status? It's a cold case, which means it's an unsolved investigation that's still open, just waiting for new evidence to pop up. It's important to remember, it's not a closed case. Authorities in New Hampshire are treating it as suspicious, which means they're not ruling out a crime. And through it all, her family has never, ever given up. Her dad, Fred, and her sister, Julie, have been relentless. They don't believe for a second that she ran away or took her own life. They are absolutely convinced that someone took her that night, and that the answer is out there with someone who just needs to find the courage to come forward. So we're left with this really unsettling question, aren't we? In a world where we leave digital breadcrumbs everywhere we go, how does a person just vanish into thin air? Is the truth about what happened to Maura Murray lost forever on that dark New Hampshire road? Or is there still one tiny clue,